Good day from Chem Help ASAP. If you've been watching this playlist as a sequence of videos, you're now to the last video in the playlist and we're ready to summarize all these reactions of alkyl halides. So pat yourself on the back. This is an accomplishment. Now let's see how all this fits together. So if you have an alkyl halide, let's talk about how you decide what reaction pathway you're going to choose. And I have 4 bullet points on the screen. If you refer back to this, follow the bullet points in order. Order matters here. So your first question should be, do I have a strong nucleophile? If your strong nucleophile is one of the great nucleophiles, azide, cyanide, the sulfides, and your halide is either a methyl halide, primary, or secondary halide, you will do an SN2 reaction. If you only have a good nucleophile, and there's nothing wrong with good nucleophiles, but if it's what we call a good nucleophile, things like the alkoxides or an amine or something, then you're restricted to just methyl and the primary halides. Secondary halide is too hindered. But if that's the case, you'll do an SN2. Now, if your situations don't fit that, but you have a strong base, let's say you have hydroxide, then you will do an E2 reaction. Furthermore, the regiochemistry of that reaction will follow the Zaitsev's rule. You're going to form the more highly substituted alkene rather than the less highly substituted alkene, unless you might form the Hoffman product if T-butoxide is your base. So now, to get to this third bullet point, the only way we can get here is if we don't have a strong nucleophile or we don't have a strong base. If you have a weak nucleophile present and either a secondary or tertiary halide, which means you can form a fairly stable carbocation, you will get an SN1 reaction as your outcome. If you have no nucleophile and a secondary or tertiary halide, and typically we match heat with these, you will get an E1 reaction. We didn't talk about it in the previous videos, but the E1 reactions always favor the more highly substituted double bond product. They give the Zaitsev product. Now, if none of these criteria fit, then you're going to have no reaction. So how would you get a no reaction? Well, what if we had a really strong nucleophile, one of the great nucleophiles, and a tertiary halide? If that's the case, we would fall through this entire list and get to this no reaction. Likewise, what if we were looking at an E1 reaction? We don't have a strong nucleophile or base, but we have a primary halide. You're never going to form that carbocation, therefore that would be a no reaction. So no reaction is not a very satisfactory answer, but sometimes you get a no reaction. Notice that the last possible outcome is an E1 reaction. You have to fail all these other questions to get to the E1. Don't guess E1s. If you don't know what's going to happen and you think something's going to happen, don't guess E1 because E1 is a really uncommon outcome. However, this is the list of the line of thinking you should follow as you evaluate what type of reaction will occur with your alkyl halide.